It's a Swedish doom metal band. What does that mean? Hey everybody, welcome to the Ultimate YouTube channel. It's your girl, Rosalie. This is so freaking powerful. Guess what time it is? Let's keep this short and simple, but I had to come on here. So often we're stuck in our own little world, but it's all so much bigger than we realize. We're headed to Sweden today. There is an international band based in Örebro, Sweden and Finland named Trees of Eternity. And I want to check out a very special song today called Gallows Bird featuring Nick Holmes. It's a Swedish doom metal band. What does that mean? This band was created by Elliott Stanbridge and her husband Juha Raivio in 2012. Shout out today goes to Mighty Warrior. Thank you for your support on my Buy Me a Coffee page. I was told that this band was made when Elliott discovered that she had terminal cancer. So she and her husband and some musician friends formed the band, and she recorded every song on the album before she passed away at the age of 39. My God, I'm 39. Crazy to think. She passed away in 2016. The album was released later that year. Most of the songs are about Elliott grieving over her impending death, even though the last song is about someone who is going to a gallows. It could easily be interpreted as describing Elliott coming to terms with her death. I was asked to review the lyric video. So thank you for this suggestion, Mighty Warrior. Have you heard of this band? A Swedish doom metal band. That is such a unique genre. It's crazy to discover how many subgenres, even within metal, there are. Being led to the gallows, but a gallows bird. What a dark, melancholic, but poetic title of a song. You ready? Here we go. Sounds like swooshing.
A red sun on the horizon, marks the hour of your call.
That's deep. The swooshing sound and the constant wave-like, not quite drone-like, but that lingering note feels very eerie. But there's this weird dichotomy to me between a feeling of freedom and a feeling of dread. It's both. And it could be some type of impending doom that is approaching. It could be wings.
Somber is the one whose eyes are still veiled.
I love the harmonies here.
Watching your departure.
The minor notes he's using also, I feel like, add to that sombering feeling. Now knowing a little bit about the background of this band, of course, my mind is already in a melancholic, grief-like type of state. But now you hear that eerie, her airy, but also eerie voice, the harmonies, almost slight delayed harmonies. The lower harmonies also makes a difference, I think. It adds a level of somberness to it as well. But some of these minor notes she's using really make the feeling that I'm getting from this song.
As mine, watch you arrive.
So this must be what I have to keep looking up the name. I keep forgetting. Doom metal is. Doom metal. Okay, that makes total sense. It sounds very doom and gloom. What is it about that genre that intrigues people? To me, it's fascinating, but it's not something that I would want to listen to all day, every day because it feels so heavy. But I do think that there's a time and a place that it really allows to talk about the dark and the heavy things and feel all the things. But are any of you doom metal fans out there that listen to this constantly? And if so, how do you navigate that? Do you listen to other things to balance that out? Is there any part of it where too much is too much? Talk to me in the comments. No glimpse of light can touch your mind. Talk about feeling complete despair. I think this is so fitting to what it really feels like when you come face to face with your mortality, especially with something like a terminal illness diagnosis or something where, or losing a loved one, where you feel like there is no light that can touch your eyes. Your hands are tied. The helplessness here, it's so painful, but I do believe that it is necessary at times to really be willing and courageous enough to sit in that and to talk about it.
So black inside as you face your dreams are unable to with you on this journey that's just begun. Not a sign as earth is is it blind or are you frozen inside? Is unable to on this journey that's just begun.
Wow. Dreams are unable to come. Fear is unable to come. With you, this journey has just begun. I hear, and of course, this is me adding what I know now about the band and the wife that passed from cancer, but it feels like this grief about the fact how soon this is happening, right? It's way too soon to die. 39. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you just started life. You've barely even collected all the data. I believe it's Carl Jung that talks about life really beginning with 40 and everything before then is just gathering data. And sometimes, to be honest, approaching 40, it feels that way, like that finally you start being comfortable with who you are. Finally you're starting to really understand certain things. And then ideally, you know, life begins and you can apply those lessons and that wisdom. And to die before all of that, it leaves you with so many unanswered questions. But to say fear is unable to come, dreams are unable to come. To me, my dreams sounds like something positive because we're not saying nightmares, we're saying dreams, which often implies something sweet, beautiful, hopes and dreams, right? But we're talking about fear, dreams and fear, almost perhaps as if to say neither the good nor the bad, neither the dreams, which, you know, ideally would be something sweet, something restful, something where we get to fly freely in our imagination, process whatever is on our mind, as long as, again, it's not a nightmare. And then fear is the thing that so many of us, all of us share in common. Neither of that can come. And it feels like it's too soon. The lyric, with you on this journey, that's just begun. It's just begun. Is this basically saying this has just begun, this journey of me heading towards death? I just got the diagnosis, or this life that had just begun and now I'm already on my way out. Very painful, painful, painful song. But the honesty of really dealing with death is extraordinary and courageous here. Let's keep listening. Something switching now, huh? This is a longer piece.
How can I make peace with my path?
Oh, Is that her husband?
When life has come to this,
Good question.
chased by shadow of my past.
You hear the vocal stacking here of his and hers, possibly one octave removed, but singing in unison. That adds to the eeriness of the feel, but also fitting, because they're all, when we're talking about death in life and terminal cancer and questions of life, it is really not just a you or me type of situation. It affects various people. And there's a relational element I'm hearing here of questions and of grief that is important to consider, right? The person that is leaving is grieving, angry, hurting, distraught, as well as the people that they're leaving behind. Everyone experiencing this journey.
Eclipsed by what lies ahead. As the last ray of hope is lost, fight and resistance. Nothing remains to hold. Into this existence. If the song for the gallows bird is the messenger between the worlds, deliver me from bitter past, so I may find rest at last.
I appreciate this change so much. These almost feel like various songs and various transitions, but it makes me wonder if it's taking us through various stages of grief. We went from somber and more soft to a slow build up here, perhaps even that negotiation stage of grief. Why, right? Deliver me from this past. Looking for some type of connection between the here and the afterlife, perhaps, or between the two worlds, looking to this bird, the gallows bird, perhaps to convey from the here to the then, or the, this life to the next type of situation. But now that crescendo that's kicking in makes me wonder, are we entering that stage of grief? I mean, of anger? Are we entering that level of where you start feeling like you start realizing the fact that your hands are truly tied starts really kicking in?
The
Wow.
Horizon to horizon. Life begins where a journey ends.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Maybe that was to a degree anger, but I think even more so, what a beautiful woman. Is that her, Aaliyah? I think that there was elements of anger here. Yes, that final rage before the storm quiets down. But I do think it went then into acceptance, that final stage of grief. And this is powerful. We're going to talk about the lyrics in more depth in just a second. Go check out Trees of Eternity on YouTube and all the platforms where you can find them, please. And if they're new to you, would you please let them know I sent you? Thank you so much, Mighty Warrior, for this suggestion. Let's support these artists, especially if they're new to you. This is incredible. I love the name of the band, by the way, Trees of Eternity. Trees are very special to me because they're so necessary for our survival. They're so mighty and powerful. They know who they are and they stand firm, and they're in their purpose, unique, one of a kind, some bigger, some smaller, various fruit, various shapes, various climates. But they're just this majestic, amazing creations and creatures to me. And to talk about Trees of Eternity is powerful because there's something about a tree that feels very eternal. They live so long. They are woven together into Earth's ecosystem, but they also weave things together. They communicate with fungi, and there's just so much more to trees and to the energy thereof and to the system behind them that we underestimate, I think, or have yet to learn. And it is so fitting to that cycle, to how even in the end it speaks of the end being the beginning of something else, and the horizon to horizon, right? It's a cycle, a circle is formed. Absolutely beautiful. So I love the band name to begin with. But a red sun on the horizon marks the hour of your call. And it's a beautiful way that they just brought this full circle because they speak of the red sun on the horizon. And in the end, we're talking again about the sunrise paints your eyes. And it went from, I think, that painful sun that to the sun setting and finding peace, letting go, finding peace, perhaps for those left behind, but also for the person that is now leaving, that is coming to terms with the fact that they are dying. A red sun on the horizon, it makes me think of the idea like Irving Allen speaks about, that I've often referred to when it comes to dealing with our death anxieties and our mortality, staring at the sun. He compares it to that. That's the name of one of his books that I highly recommend you read. And so the idea of a red sun on the horizon makes me think of that moment in your life when you recognize there's something on the horizon and it feels like a red sun. It's beautiful to look at, like the sunrise. It means new life. It also, to me, implies the burning sun. Red makes me think of passion, makes me think of something fiery that can be beautiful and give warmth, but also destroy. And when we look at that sun, that is our life and death. It's overwhelming. It's beautiful, but it's also scary. It's awe-evoking, scary, overwhelming. It marks the hour of your call. And to me, this also makes me think of a beautiful, symbolic way, a picturesque way of painting when we come face to face with our mortality. When you receive such a terminal illness diagnosis as Aaliyah experienced and her husband and they went through, that feels like you're getting called. It marks the hour of your call. It's that call, that feeling of death is calling. Throughout history, we've often depicted death in various ways. We've romanticized it. We've put it into poetry and plays, into music and art. This desire, this desperate attempt at trying to personify death. And oftentimes we make it look scary, right? Some masked skeleton creature that's coming for us. At other times, we look at it as something of a sort of relief, but it's hard to grasp because it's just such a uncertain topic, such an overwhelming topic. Somber is the one whose eyes are still veiled. I find that interesting. Somber, perhaps the person whose eyes are still veiled, or perhaps the people who have not had to come face to face with their death yet. That's how I'm interpreting that. Of course, that's subjective to a degree. Maybe this idea that the person whose eyes are still veiled, who are still ignorant, if you will, ignorance is bliss, right? They're still somber, they're still calm. That rage, that anxiety that people experience who really have to come face to face with death, they know their eyes are not veiled anymore. Watching your departure as mine watch you arrive. Very powerful. Watching your departure. This is perhaps from the perspective of seeing someone leave, someone dying, as mine watch you arrive. Beautiful nod to what we're going to see in the end, which is that cyclical element. There's so many dynamics to somebody dying, not only of them feeling like they're departuring, but coming to terms with it, finding peace, and perhaps realizing new life will come out of this, that maybe they're not going to be gone forever. Maybe they will be like the trees of eternity, going back to the stars, like the stardust that we originally are, maybe going back in some level, in some quantum physical level, in a different way through energy. It's this, which is also for some a theory that brings comfort, this idea that perhaps while we end, we don't end, and of course different religions and beliefs also have different constructs to find comfort in the face of that type of terminal way of life, terminal mortality. Watching your departure as mine, you watch you arrive. Wow. That's crazy. You watch someone depart as you see death arriving. It's this weird exchange. It's really weird. We have a very interesting, especially here in the West, grasp on death. And we often look at it as the end of something. And I heard the other day that some people think that death is the opposite of life, but actually death is the opposite of birth. Life just is. Life is that in between. Life is not the end of death is not the end of your life. It's the opposite of your birth. But life is what you have right now. Your hands are tied, your mask applied, the mark of shame. I feel a level of despair here. Hands being tied, right? That's a terrifying idea. You're imprisoned, you're chained, you can't do anything about it. You cannot escape death. Your mask applied, the mark of shame. I see a picture of this restriction where your hands are tied, you can't speak, you can't breathe. Perhaps a mask applied in regards to not to get too poetic, but when you feel like you have to wear a certain mask, a certain facade to make other people feel comfortable. People are very uncomfortable, many at least are, around terminally ill people that are marked by death, if you will. So there could be a double entendre here, not only feeling like your hands are tied and you have a mask that's keeping you from breathing and speaking, but also like you have to apply a mask that makes you look like everything's fine, where you try to look like you're still very much living when death has definitely left its mark. In order to feel more comfortable about it, in order to make other people more comfortable about it, the mark of shame you wear to all eyes, no glimpse of light can touch your mind. The mark of shame. Isn't it crazy that death feels shameful? I wonder, and this is not something I've given enough thought to, how many people who are terminally ill feel shame. Embarrassed to show others that they're losing their hair, embarrassed to show others that they're dying. Isn't that crazy? That the very same thing we all will have to endure makes us feel shameful. It's almost like we're ashamed to show others our humanity, to show that we are not infinite, that we are not immortal, that we won't live and be forever young. And that already goes before terminal illness and in the face of death. In that way, that goes for aging, wrinkles, and changes like that, where many people feel shame. It's almost like we are ashamed that we're all a victim of entropy and gravity. We're ashamed that we're all going to die, even though we all share it in common. Isn't that crazy that it's such an isolating thing when it's the one thing we all share? And yet there's shame, the mark of shame. It's shameful to feel like death has marked us. It came for you before it came for me, or it came for me before it came for you. And there's a level of embarrassment because I think we have this desire to be strong, powerful, and mighty. We think that that is living. We think that living means that the older you get, that's living, or the more you have, or the more beautiful, or the less wrinkles, or, when you can have a person that lives 10 years and they live so much more life than people that make it to 80. And I'm not just talking about living life in the sense of all the places you've traveled to and things you've experienced, though that adds to our life's value too, in my opinion, the more you savor it. But I'm talking about living more life in the sense of actually living it, not going through the motion, not spending so much of our time in the past and present, but actually living, where no matter how many years, chronologically speaking, you were alive for it. And yet I think we're so ashamed when other people see the mark of shame you wear to all eyes. Everyone can see you've been marked. Death is coming. And I so appreciate this conversation here, because how many people talk about that? We talk about grief. We talk about how hard it is when we lose someone. We talk about people ending their life and depression and anxiety. We talk even about death, plenty on this channel. Existential fears, death anxieties, question for the meaning of life. But how often do we talk about the shame of death and how people that are dying feel embarrassed? Feel embarrassed. No glimpse of light can touch your mind. so black inside as your face, your crime. These lyrics are beautifully written, but also profound. Dreams are unable to come. And later it says, the fear is unable to come with you on this journey that's just begun. We're on this journey. I wonder, earlier I said it feels like maybe dreams or fear can't approach, can't come because, you're on a journey that's just begun. But maybe there's also an element of comfort here. You're sharing, especially Elliott and her husband here, are sharing this grief and this battle with mortality, with this diagnosis together. And it's this weird oxymoron or this weird dichotomy of being together and yet grieving the fact that this journey has just begun. Not a sigh as your noose is tied, fitting to the title of the song, The Gallows, right? When someone is being led to the gallows and the noose is tied. Is it pride or are you frozen inside? Why are we not sighing? Why are we silent when we're led to the slaughter, when we're led to the gallows? As the noose is tied, is it pride? Are we too prideful to really express how much we're angry, how much we're mad, how much we're hurting, how much we don't want to die? Or are we frozen inside? What is it really? Fear is unable to come with you on this journey that's just begun. I wonder also if the you that is being addressed here is death. Are we personifying death and saying this journey that I've just begun, this walking towards my death, fear and dreams are unable to come. Neither fear really has any say here. I can be afraid all day long. It's not going to change the fact that I'm going to die. Dreams can't come. My hopes and dreams, they can't be part of this. Or is it sung towards a person? How can I make peace with my path when life has come to this? And I love how both his and her voice was, or maybe perhaps the singer here was Nick Holmes, since it was featuring him, and Jens Bolgren, who produced this. The song is called Hour of the Nightingale. Beautiful. Or the album, I'm sorry. But I love here how the voices complemented each other. And now it says, how can I make peace with my path when life has come to this? Beautifully powerful question many of us have to ask ourselves when we are faced with trauma, with tragedy, with death, chased by the shadow of my past, eclipsed by what lies ahead. Crazy, isn't it? We're chased by a shadow. The past is not there anymore, but it's a shadow, eclipsed by what lies ahead. I'm engulfed by what lies ahead. It's almost like back to that hands being tied. You cannot escape. As the last ray of hope is lost, that hope that maybe there will be a remedy, that maybe this person will not die, that maybe this isn't the end. Fight and resistance. Nothing remains to hold me to this existence. My God, these lyrics. Fight and resistance. You try to fight it. You try to negotiate with death. Nothing remains that can hold you to this existence. You're going to die. We're going to fade. There is going to be an end. And actually staring at the sun, as Yalom says, actually dealing with it will evoke in us absolute despair if we dare really deal with it. But from that place, we can then decide what is going to be meaningful. Then what now? Then what are you going to do about it? You're going to die. You are going to die. I am going to die. And now we don't know how long that will be. What do we do with that type of uncertainty? We can deny it and not think about it. And yeah. It's not today, at least. Maybe tomorrow, but I'm not going to worry about that. We can be in denial of it and just focus on the after. Well, I'm so convinced there's something after, so, I'm going to hyper focus on a spiritual world afterward versus the life I've been given here. If the song of the gallows bird is the messenger between the worlds, deliver me from bitter past so I may find rest at last. The song of the gallows bird. It's so picturesque, these lyrics. It has me picturing a raven or a crow that's flying around as someone's being led to the gallows. A messenger between the worlds. Various birds are often looked at as messengers from the spiritual to the physical world, or as messengers for a loved lost one, right? The red cardinal, or ravens and crows and various birds are often looked at as spiritual messengers, or in ancient traditions have been used as messengers, or even in scripture used, like the dove, to send messages or to explore if there was land again after being out on sea. Birds have a very powerful meaning throughout the years and various spiritual connections to people and symbolism. So it's interesting they speak here of a messenger between the worlds. And then that constant repetitive why, I appreciate that too. There's this despair now. We've gone from negotiating, being in shock, denial, negotiating, to pleading with death. Why me? Why does this have to happen? To anger as that crescendo of the composition kicked in. And as I mentioned, it felt like 3 different songs. It was phenomenal. To then acceptance. Hear the blackbird's song, a fallen man's beacon. That blackbird's song is a fallen man's beacon. The sunrise paints your eyes. This is such beautiful imagery here. Rays of light chase away the night. We've gone from despair and asking why and feeling like our hands are tied to that light chasing away the night. And this part touches me so deeply because I'd like to believe that in the face of death, when someone breathes their last and everything goes dark, they see the light again. That it's not dark that chases away the light of life, but that it's light that chases away the night. That there's peace in the end. And then the picture, it makes me think of these Viking and various cultures, the sailors of old. It makes me think, it makes me picture those things, the ships that have come ashore, parting the storm, that ship that's coming to take that person into the afterlife, back into the stars, wherever it may be, parting the storm, right? That turmoil, that storm, that pain that we're experiencing as we're facing death is being parted by that ship. Though the tide bears all your nightmares, sails of white come to take you home. There's such a picture of peace here. As I bear you on board, a circle is formed. And I picture here these ancient tribes and people who would put their loved ones on some type of raft or boat and set it ablaze and send it off into the waters. As I bear you on board, a circle is formed. I find that so phenomenal. As I'm giving something into death, as I'm letting someone go, a circle is formed. And it's this nod to the circle of life, horizon to horizon. From the beginning to the end, life begins where a journey ends. There is so much pain and beauty in these lyrics. Absolutely phenomenal work. Thank you for this suggestion, Mighty Warrior. What do you think about this one? What a beautiful tribute. What a beautiful way of remembering this woman, and what a beautiful way of her leaving behind a legacy that can comfort others in the face of death. Wow. Amazing. Trees of Eternity. I've got another Trees of Eternity for you soon. Make sure to subscribe here. Make sure to subscribe on my main channel, Rosalie Elliott Official, and on my secondary channel, Rosalie Reactions. I will see you guys on the next ride. Ayo!